We continue to track Winter Storm Nemo, what we're expecting out of it. There's already some impacts out of this and a lot of preparations being made as well.
Yes, when it comes to the roads, there have been flight cancellations already for tomorrow. What about power outages? This has also been a concern of ours. Joining us live on the phone right now is Karen Johnson. She's with PSE&G, of course, New Jersey's biggest power company. Karen, thank you so much for your time tonight. How do you begin to prepare for this storm when it comes to utility crews and possible power outages?
Well, what we're doing first is ensuring that we have all available personnel ready to respond beginning tomorrow. We are also arranging for contractors, including additional tree crews, to assist our own highly skilled workforce.
And about that workforce, Karen, are there conditions when they're not allowed to go out and do their jobs because of their own safety?
Yes, typically when winds exceed about 40 miles an hour, it's not safe for them to go up in bucket trucks and make repairs. So as soon as those high winds subside, our folks will be out there restoring service as quickly as they can.
And Karen, obviously we had an incredible amount of power outages following Hurricane Sandy, especially across New Jersey, and we had a winter storm come just after that, Winter Storm Athena. Any lessons learned from those big events that may be applied this time around?
Well, I think, just making sure that we have enough people on the ground ready to go. We have plenty of equipment in stock, extra poles, transformers, and other equipment, and just, really staying on top of it and making sure that we deploy our crews as safely and quickly as we can.
And Karen, we know this is a big job. Is there one thing that's frustrating about what you don't know, the unknown of a storm? Is there something you wish you knew?
I think it's probably the winds at this point. Snow by itself does not cause much problems for us, but when you combine the snow with the heavy winds as being predicted, the winds are really what causes, lines and possibly poles and other equipment to come down.
And Karen, say that someone were to lose power by tomorrow evening, what type of advice do you want to pass along to the people, especially there in New Jersey?
Well, they should certainly be careful. If there's any down wires in their neighborhood, please stay away. Make sure that they call us to report them, as well as to call us if they are without power, so that we certainly know that. And make sure that they have their emergency kit at the ready, including flashlights, fresh batteries, etc.
Karen Johnson, thank you very much for that. PSE&G out of New Jersey. We certainly appreciate your time and keeping us up to date. We're also keeping an eye on some other impacts that you might not think about with a big winter storm, and that's the threat for coastal flooding. More than 8 million people in that threat area.
Our storm surge specialist, Michael Lowry, has that part of the storm. Michael, we're used to talking to you during tropical season, during hurricanes, of course, so let's get the latest on this threat with the storm moving through. Michael.
Well, you probably think of storm surge as a hurricane threat. Some of our biggest coastal flood events in New England have actually been from winter storms. Take a look at this list of highest water levels for the city of Boston. This goes back nearly 100 years. And what you'll notice is that all of these events are actually non-tropical events, similar to Winter Storm Nemo. Now let's fast forward to tomorrow on Friday afternoon. We have a developing coastal storm off the mid-Atlantic. This will scoot up the coast during the day so that by early Saturday morning, before daybreak, we'll have a storm off the New England coast, bringing very strong winds to parts of Massachusetts, 40-plus miles per hour, in fact, over a duration of 6 to 12 hours. So a very long stretch pushing storm surge and coastal flooding into Massachusetts. Now, we already have coastal flood advisories from New York through New England, but our greatest threat will be from Boston southward through the elbow of the Cape, especially east and north-facing shorelines, including the Atlantic coast. Now, the big wild card, and we saw this during Sandy, is the timing of the peak surge with the high tide. We have two high tide cycles that we're concerned with, one Friday evening and one Saturday morning. If the peak storm surge were to occur during the high tide Saturday morning, this is the highest tide of the month. We could possibly see some historic coastal flooding, moderate and even major coastal flooding, inundation of roadways as we move into Saturday. Back to you.
Thank you, Michael. Still dealing with plenty of blizzard warnings. In fact, are blanketing parts of the Northeast ahead of this winter storm.
Coming up in our winter weather update, Chris and storm specialist Dr. Greg Postell will break down the big threat for places like New York City and Boston.
And there are many towns, not just these two big cities, but many towns in the Northeast that will be dealing with some very big, dangerous wintertime weather this weekend.